Hi everyone, in today's lesson we're going to talk about the unit circle. A unit circle is a circle with a radius of 1 centered at the origin. So here's an example of a unit circle. Here's the center at the origin, and I've gone over 1, which is a radius, up 1, left 1, down 1. So all of this is a circle with a radius of 1. Now for any point on the unit circle, and in quadrant 1, the lengths x and y become the legs of a right triangle whose hypotenuse is 1. So what do I mean by that? Here's a point on the unit circle, which we'll call x, comma, y. Now how did I get to that point? Say it's just, for example, 3, comma, 4. We would go over 3, or over x, and then up y. And this is a radius, and it's a unit circle, so it's a radius of 1. So this was just an example with the 3 and the 4, but I mean in general terms, x and y. So let's analyze cosine, sine, and tangent of this triangle in here. So if theta's in here, this x is my adjacent side, the 1 is my hypotenuse, and the y is my opposite, all with respect to theta. So cosine of theta is adjacent over hypotenuse, so x over 1, which simplifies to x. Sine of theta is opposite over hypotenuse, so y over 1, which simplifies to y, and tangent of theta is opposite over adjacent, so y over x. So tangent of theta is equal to y over x, and that actually cannot be simplified, so we'll just write it as y over x. So what did we just conclude? We just concluded that any point on the unit circle can be represented by xy, and if x is cosine and y is sine, then we've just concluded that any point on the unit circle is cosine theta, comma, sine theta. And if tangent is y over x, then tangent is sine over cosine, y over x. So sine theta over cosine theta. Okay? This is what needs to be memorized. This is the big conclusion from what I just proved. Okay, now let's use the unit circle to determine sine, cosine, and tangent on the next page. Okay, so from what we just concluded, the x value has to be cosine of theta. So it's we'll say the x value distance, and the y value distance is the sine, and the outside distance will help us find tangent. So tangent would be if I were to use this as a radius and draw a a triangle like this. So this is my radius of 1, and this is my tangent piece. So here's tangent, here's cosine, and here's sine. Okay? So again, this is cosine value, this is sine, and this is tangent. So an example would be to use this diagram below to tell me the values of sine, cosine, and tangent. So let's label it first. We said the x value distance was cos, the vertical distance was sine, and the outside distance was tangent. So if I want to label it, the cosine is PR, the sine is QR, and the tangent is ST. And that's it. Okay, that tells me what sine, cosine, and tangent is. Now let's use the unit circle to determine quadrant angles. So if x comma y is cosine theta comma sine theta, then every x value is cosine and every y is sine. So let's put our degrees in. This is 0, this is 90, this is 180, this is 270, and this is 360. So if I want to find, say, cosine of 0 degrees, I just look at the x value. So cosine of 0 is 1. Okay? If I want to find cosine of 90, I look at the x value, which is 0. If I want to find cosine of -1, I look at the x value here. I'm sorry, cosine of 180, I look at the x value, which is -1. If I want to find cosine of 270, I look at the x value, which is 0. And now if I want to find sine of any of these angles, I'm going to look at the y value. So sine of 0 is 0. Again, look at the y value for sine. Sine of 90 is 1. Sine of 180 is 0. And sine of 270 is negative 1. And if I want to find tangent, we know that tangent of theta is sine theta over cosine theta. So all we have to do is, if I want to find tangent of 0, I just take sine and divide it by cosine. So 0 divided by 1 is 0. What's 1 divided by 0 here? That's actually undefined. You can't divide by 0. It doesn't exist. And then 180 is 0 divided by negative 1, which is 0. And 270 is negative 1 divided by 0, which is, undefined. So this is another big thing that I need you to memorize, is either memorize this chart here or memorize at any given point. I could ask you, what is cosine of 270? You look at the x value. If I want sine of 90, I look at the y value. All right, we'll discuss all this in class and how to memorize it a little bit further. But if at this point you have any questions, please jot them down, and we'll discuss this tomorrow. Have a good day.